As reported, oil depots in annexed Crimea were attacked, causing massive fires. These facilities are used to supply fuel to the Russian army. Krim.Reli investigated what happened and what the consequences will be. In annexed Crimea, explosions were heard in the early morning, after which two powerful fires broke out in Simferopol and the Simferopol region. The Telegram channel Krymsky Vita, citing information from subscribers, reported that a powerful explosion occurred in the village of Vadeskoy, followed by a fire at the local Atan oil depot. A little later, news broke of a massive fire in Simferopol. The location of the fire was initially determined to be at a thermal power plant in the Gresovsky microdistrict, but it turned out to be at a nearby oil depot. Krymsky Vita reported that numerous military fuel tankers covered in camouflage nets and equipped with anti-drone structures were at the oil depot. This oil depot is actively used to supply the Russian army, the Telegram channel claims. The fire at an oil depot in Simferopol was confirmed by the Russian head of Crimea, Sergei Askanov. As a result of an attack by an enemy drone in Simferopol, a tank containing fuel and lubricants was hit. This caused a fire. There were no injuries. Emergency services are working on the scene, Askanov wrote on his Telegram channel. The oil depot in the village of Vadeskoy in the Simferopol district was attacked earlier in October on the 17th. The attack also occurred early in the morning. Two powerful explosions were heard in Simferopol and the Simferopol district. The oil depot in Vadeskoy is perhaps the northernmost in Crimea, used to supply fuel to the Russian forces in the occupied territories of Ukraine. The Ukrainian armed forces are deliberately targeting this facility. As a result, the fuel supply route will be extended and consequently the fuel delivery time to Russian troops. A Crimean military expert, a former Ukrainian officer, and a lieutenant colonel in the Ukrainian Armed Forces Reserve told Krim.Reli on condition of anonymity. The oil depot in the Simferopol village of Komsomolskoy, located at 6A Montaznaya Street, has two large fuel storage tanks and four smaller ones. The facility has access to railway lines and a ramp with oil pipelines. TESS and Atan own the largest gas station networks on the peninsula, and TESS also operates in the occupied territories of Kherson and Zaporizhia. Both companies operate fleets of fuel trucks and oil depots and supply fuel to the Russian army. Therefore, they are legitimate targets for the Ukrainian armed forces, and Russian troops will be on a starvation ration, commented a military expert from Crimea. In October, the Ukrainian Defense Forces attacked 3 oil depots in Crimea, 2 of them twice. In this case, Russian equipment cannot move due to lack of fuel. The largest marine oil terminal in Crimea is located in Feodosia. It was attacked on the night of October the 6th, sparking a massive fire that burned for several days. Some of the storage tanks were destroyed in the fire. Ukrainian forces are systematically targeting facilities in Crimea that supply fuel to the Russian army. Currently, the only major oil depot left on the peninsula is the Russian Black Sea Fleet's depot in Sevastopol, but it's virtually invulnerable as the fuel is stored in underground tanks. These tanks were built during the Soviet era to withstand a nuclear strike. The city also has another major oil depot, Yuktosan, in Kazachia Bay, but it's unknown whether it's in use. In any case, delivering fuel to Russian troops from Sevastopol increases the length of the route and travel time. Petroleum products will be delivered on the fly, so to speak, and this deprives the Russian army of maneuverability and the ability to plan operations over long periods of time, says a former Ukrainian officer from Crimea.
On the night of October 29th, Security Service of Ukraine strike drones hit key military and infrastructure targets of the occupiers in Crimea, according to Ukraine's media sources. The SBU Special Group Alpha strike drones carried out a successful operation against Russian military and infrastructure targets in temporarily occupied Crimea last night. According to sources, by morning, the Russians had lost a Pantsir S-2 anti-aircraft missile system worth around $20 million. It is one of the key components of the enemy's air defense. Additionally, 2 radar stations were taken out. Each destroyed or disabled air defense system significantly weakens Russia's defense in the Crimean direction. Moreover, Special Group Alpha drones struck a fuel depot in the settlement of Vardyansk, where fuel was stored. A massive fire broke out at the site, sending a huge column of black smoke into the sky. There was also a drone strike on the Komsomolska oil depot. The SBU continues systematic operations to destroy air defense systems protecting Crimea and fuel depots supplying the enemy. Each such special operation reduces the military and logistical potential of the Russians. The explosions will continue, a source within the SBU said. On the morning of October 29, explosions were heard and fires broke out in various parts of temporarily occupied Crimea. At least one fuel depot and possibly a military site were hit. Recall, additionally, on October 17, a fuel depot in Vardyansk caught fire early in the morning. Satellite images showed 2 fire hotspots at the site. Online reports suggested that after such attacks, gasoline shortages in the temporarily occupied peninsula could worsen significantly. It should also be noted that later that same day, the Ukrainian Special Operations Forces confirmed that they had struck 2 fuel depots in Crimea. The so-called Federal State Treasury institution of the Gvardiskoy Combine in the village of Karyurn, Sakei district, in temporarily occupied Crimea, was also struck. The Special Operations Forces continue to carry out asymmetric actions to stop the enemy, the statement said.